Council firstly acknowledges Wadawurrung traditional owners of this land and all other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Greater Geelong community today. Welcome and thank you. What are community event grants? Community event grants, so it's a new grant scheme. We are into our second year. It's designed to support moderate size events which bring economic benefit to the city. We have 2 rounds, this current round being our first round, and then a second round which will be scheduled to open in February of 2021. Each round has a total capacity of $85,000. Each event can apply for a maximum of $10,000. As you can imagine, $85,000 doesn't go very far. So if we do have multiple applicants for $10,000, we will be in a position where we could only fund 8.5 events. So what I do encourage is for you to only apply for the funding that you require, what is required for you to have a sustainable event. It is possible that you may not receive your full funding amount. We are trying to maximise the funding capabilities to spread that funding around, so we will have multiple events funded. We're ultimately trying to have a diverse and inclusive events calendar. We are very busy over the summer, so we are looking at events, we're funding events throughout that summer period, but we are looking for the out-of-box events that are in our off-peak time. Any questions so far? No? Eligibility. So the main key point in this is unincorporated groups and bodies with eligible auspices can apply and are eligible. That hasn't been there in previous. If anyone is wanting some information on some auspices, by all means, please give our grants team a call. They are the experts in that field and can provide support. Events that will be considered for funding. So events held post the 1st of January 2021. The reason for that, this current funding grant is open until the 14th of September. Based on our assessment criteria, Council does like our grants to be transparent. So we do start off with an internal assessment, which is led by our, I suppose, qualified event professions. I myself am part of that panel. We then have an external panel and recommendations from that go to Council. So with an election year this year, we do lose a month. 9th of December is the timeline for successful candidates and outcomes. So we are looking at a range and diverse events. You don't need to meet all criteria, but ultimately we are looking at state or national title events. So that could be your state under-19 soccer championships. We're looking at events that have social connection. They are open to the public and have some free components. By all means, you can have ticketed events and be successful in this funding stream. You definitely do not need to be all of the above, providing you're meeting one of the categories. Any questions? Events that are run from 2020 through to 2021. So currently in these grants, it is valid until, or I should say from the 1st of January, because you won't get successful notification until the 9th of December. If you are looking funding prior to that, by all means, contact us after the session and we can discuss. I'm just noticing there's another question, events that are overnight or for 2 nights. absolutely will or can apply. We're looking at ad hoc events, so events that aren't, well, an event is a one-off event, something that has a temporary infrastructure, so not a regular sporting event. A sporting event that will be applicable is a national event that would be held annually throughout that year. Previously, we have had a bit of confusion with what funding stream to apply with our events. We currently have 9 grants open. So we've done a bit of work this year, and we've done an F&Q, which is available on our website. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's really to give examples so you can determine which event stream you best suit, so you can maximize your application and ultimately get the best outcomes. So events that will be considered and examples of the community events grant are business events, conferences, expos, food and beverage events, so food festivals, beer festivals, regional, state and national championships. These could be country championships, sporting events, events that rotate nationally and are on a biannual basis, religious and spiritual events, so Christmas carols, walking of the cross, which is an Easter event. Civic events would sit within our stream, so Australia Day, events that showcase local industries and Geelong competitive advantage. So something like Toast to the Coast, which showcases the Ballerine wineries, is a perfect example, and that would be a perfect event for this stream. Creative communities currently have grants open. So the events that are currently, and this is not to say only apply to their streams, but if you've got a music event, a film festival, an Indigenous event, a performing arts festival, Justin actually heads up this grant. What I do suggest is for you to look at the guidelines of both events and trying to align where you best suit. By all means, give us a call and we can help you, guide you through that process. Healthy and connective communities also have some grants open. So events that they historically fund are some sporting clubs, community groups celebrating milestone anniversary. So that could be a bowls club that has their 20th anniversary. They're looking for events that have skill building community workshops. That could be a wood crafting event. They are predominantly events that have a targeted audience, so not necessarily open to the wider community. Any questions so far? I can tell you currently all grants have a maximum grant of $10,000. So that's the first time this year. So that is definitely a changer, which really helps people to apply for the stream that they are best suited to. So environmental and sustainability are looking for events that showcase environmental sustainability. They're looking for events that promote environmental practices, events that focus on connecting nature with our environment. I'm just answering that question from Rob. We won't actually be covering the infrastructure grants in this meeting. They're running separate information sessions specific for their grant stream. Events that will not be funded through the community events grants or any other event related grants are regular sporting or community programs. So that's the, Saturday morning football for the under 18s that's played weekly. That is not deemed an event. However, if that club was to host a state championships or a regional competition that was brought as a one-off to that club, that would definitely qualify as an event. Ongoing markets, events primarily for the purpose of fundraising. So an example of that is a Mother's Day Fun Run Classic, where people are actually attending that event to run with the sole purpose of fundraising for breast cancer. Events that are the core business of a business. So markets, their sole purpose is to have a market stall and to generate revenue. Our assessment criteria, so it's broken up in 3 areas. Main focus being a well-planned event, that makes up 40% of the application. It is all scored based on the answers that you're putting in your application. We are really looking for well-planned events, detailed event plans. We're in a time, unfortunately, where there's a lot of unknown with COVID. So there is a requirement for a COVID lens these days. COVID safe plan isn't necessarily a requirement that we're requiring as part of your application, but we are looking for how you're addressing health and hygiene, track and tracing. COVID, unfortunately, will be around for the distant future. So that is something that we will be considering. We are looking for a detailed event plan. Appropriate budget. So budget that, we'll be looking at a budget to see whether that event can be run to that budget. Looking for income and expense. We don't mind how the money is spent, but an appropriate budget that balances would be considered. Community impact. We're looking for events that have or provide opportunity for local participation and really provide a positive impact to the community. They keep our community healthy, strong, and engaged. That community impact is really important to the City of Greater Geelong and will make up 30% of your application. The rest of the assessment comes down to strategic impact, and the most important being the economic benefit back to the city. The alignment with our clever and creative vision. We're in a time where we are all being forced to be creative and look at events in an extremely different way throughout these COVID times. So that is 30% of the assessment. Any questions so far? So just, I suppose, to remind everyone, we have 2 grant rounds. This is currently round 1. It's open until the 14th of September. Outcomes will be announced the week commencing the 9th of December. Round 2 will open in February 2021. We do have an Events Geelong platform. So by all means, even if you aren't successful for some grant funding, we strongly encourage you to upload your event on our events calendar so you can get some promotion through that channel, where we've got a reach of about 50,000. Does anyone have any questions or feedback? No questions? Well, my email and my telephone number is there. So by all means, whilst you're working through that application, if you've got any questions, feel free to give me a call. Grant applications are open for the next 7 weeks. I strongly encourage that you start working on that application now rather than the 11th hour. We will continue monitoring through Smarty Grants, and if we feel your application is best suited to another grant stream, we'll contact you and let you know. Some advice that I can provide with your application is to copy and paste your application into a Word document. So if we are contacting you to advise that you're best suited to another stream, you can copy and paste some of your questions if they're applicable to the correct application suitable for that grant. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for giving up your time on a cold evening, and good luck with your applications.